right. Well, thank you all so much for joining us this morning. I'd like to welcome you to the Greater Reston Chamber of Commerce's Coffee and Contracting event on matchmaking prep. My name is Alicia Field. I'm the Director of Events for the Greater Reston Chamber of Commerce. And the Reston Chamber is a catalyst for business growth and entrepreneurship by providing quality programs, education, connections, and advocacy for our members and organizations in the Dulles Corridor. And today's forum is a great example of providing education. Our intent is truly to provide an interactive forum for you to learn from government and industry professionals, especially on this important topic, to prepare you for our B2G conference coming up. So much of our work is made possible by our generous investments from our annual sponsors, whom I'd like to take a moment to recognize, who you will see on our screen here. We have our strategic sponsors, our visionary sponsors, as well as our advocate sponsors. Got a little bit ahead there. Sorry. And then I'd also like to thank our GovCon Council sponsors you'll see on the screen: Miller Musmar CPAs, M&T Bank, Guernsey, as well as Main Street Bank. I also would like to thank Iris Brick Consulting and Northwest Federal Credit Union for supporting the GovCon Council as well. And with that, our GovCon Council actually plans programming like today's events. So we actually encourage you to help us plan future events and network with the council. Our council meets on Tuesdays. We meet on the fourth Tuesday of the month. Here we go. We meet on the fourth Tuesday of the month at 8:30 at the Reston Chamber offices. So if you're interested in joining us in the future, please email me. You got a few emails from me. So just let me know and I'll be happy to send you the information for that to join us for the next council meeting. And with that, I'm so pleased to introduce today's speaker, Ms. Clairesse Jackson. She's a small business program manager for Mission Technologies at HII. She's got some great information for you to prepare for your matchmaking meetings. So with that, Clairesse, please get started.
Good morning, everyone. I want to thank Alicia once again for inviting me and for having the opportunity to meet with you today. What I would like to do, I am, as Alicia mentioned, I'm the Small Business Program Manager for Mission Technologies, which is a division of HII. And on the next slide, I would like to go over the agenda. Just briefly, I'll discuss how to develop matchmaking strategies. And this will be good for this outreach session or for any other matchmaking opportunity that you may have. I'll discuss capability briefs in a website exercise that I'll have you just think through, create a top 10 prime list, develop outreach strategy, the actual information as you go through the actual matchmaking session, matchmaking follow-up tips, and just to share with you some information on the prime side after we go through a meeting, just some things to consider, what's happening behind the scenes, which could help you to better understand. Sometimes we may not be able to reach back with you immediately. And I just wanted to share some of the different activities that are going on. And then I just want to say a few words with regards to CMMC requirements. And so with that, on the next screen, we'll start with develop a matchmaking strategy. A lot of times when you come to a matchmaking session, you want to have a game plan. You know, who do you want to meet with? What type of information do you want to get? You know, do you want to gain contacts with a company? Communicate your areas of focus. And what areas do you want to engage with a prime contractor? Again, you may have several main capabilities, but for this particular prime that you're meeting with, one or two key capabilities that you definitely want to communicate to that prime. Have you previously worked with the company? If so, I have available names that you've worked with, you know, contracts, and that helps to get a quick, interaction with the company. And it's an area of focus that you can start to engage in. And it helps the prime sort of focus on, if they know that person, if they know which group they work on, then they can better match you up, you know, with a particular opportunity. And again, are you interested in a specific contract? Again, if you do your research and find if one of the prime contracts is getting ready to end, or did they just win it? Again, if you approach the prime with such and such contract, that's an immediate area of focus that they can help you get connected with. And again, are you interested in learning about X service or division? It may not be just about trying to get a subcontracting opportunity, but you may want to find out a little bit more about what the company's doing in X, Y, or Z area. And then if you're attending a key industry or government conference, ask the prime if they're going to be exhibiting at that particular conference. Because many times you'll have an opportunity to actually meet with the program team at those industry group meetings. And then again, I know most of you are there because you do want a subcontracting opportunity. In some cases, the primes will have an opportunity. In other cases, it may not be immediate, but a lot of times we do these engagements so that, you know, we can be familiar with companies that are available. So when these opportunities do come up. And then most large primes do have a website that they need for you to sign up in. I know most people do not like them. I can tell you on the mission technology side, we do review the profiles that are in the system. And several of our program teams go directly into the system. So we may not be talking to you, but we are reviewing the profiles. And then while you do the registration, and again, just go on the website, check to see if there's a registration portal. And if there is, definitely register. And then we want to know about quality or security clearance requirements besides your capabilities. And again, just follow the profiles that you see on the registration screen. And the next slide. I would like to talk about your capability briefs. And again, the brief should reflect core service capabilities. Do you have a unique technical qualifications? Those should be on your capability briefs. Again, what makes your company stand out? What customer relationships do you have? Because we will look for those in the briefs. Demonstrate past performance. That's becoming more and more important as we do review different company profiles. And that's one of the main things that will differentiate your service from another company. And does your capability brief match the information on your website? I can't tell you how many times I may get a really good brief, and then the program team or myself will go to the website and it doesn't fully match what's in the brief as far as the capabilities that you're trying to highlight. Don't send a link, your capability statement via a link. With all the focus on cybersecurity, we don't know, excuse me, we don't know what the links are going to. And so we've been told by our IT folks, unless you absolutely know where you get the information, do not click on links. And it's interesting, as I was preparing for this brief, an email came in and I did get a capability statement, and there's no less than 5 links in the capability statement. So needless to say, I did not open up anything. And then again, at the program team, we'll review your company brief, website, and make sure your email is on your contact information is on your brief and in your emails that you may send to us. And then once they do that review, oftentimes they'll make a determination whether they can meet with you. Next slide, please. One of the things I always encourage small businesses to do, pick 2 of your competitors or 2 other organizations that you are aware of that have similar capabilities. Compare the information on the company briefs or websites and just ask yourself, what is different about the information reflected in your briefing or website versus your competitor? Are there differences in, are there awards, contract vehicles? Do they mention, white papers or research, agency past performance? This information will help you to differentiate your capabilities from other companies meeting with the prime. Because keep in mind, we're looking at and we're talking to several companies. And a lot of times the information is exactly the same, just kind of packaged a little bit different. But as far as the services, capabilities, a lot of times, especially in the IT space, they come across as being very similar. So you're not only trying to, get in front of us, but you also you're competing with other small businesses. So as much as you can differentiate your service or your capability, that will make you stand out a little bit more. Next slide. And then again, during your matchmaking sessions, or just as a strategy as a whole, create a top 10 prime list. What companies do you want to work with? Do you want to access new markets? Do you want to expand your capabilities? Research the companies, check the company websites, review company capabilities, markets that the primes companies serve, government, commercial, international, Google companies to see if they're in the news, and then map your capabilities to target the prime company capabilities. You always want to highlight who you are, but if you have an opportunity to modify your presentation to be specific to that company, that could help increase your chances of having an opportunity to meet with the program team. Next slide, please. And then again, another outreach strategy is join and participate in business development organizations. Obviously, you have the Greater Reston Chamber of Commerce, which is a great organization to belong to. FCA, there's tons of small business events, and there you have an opportunity to not only meet with a lot of the program managers, you'll have an opportunity to meet with the government industry folks as well, and learning opportunities with regards to what the government's doing. And plus on the and for FCA and like NDIA, it's a good way to get contact information as well. There's the Capital Region Minority Supplier Development Agency, the Women's Business Enterprise National Council, and of course your PTACs. Besides having different events at the PTACs, they could also help you with any business development issues that you may have with your small business. They can help you with maybe marketing strategies. If you're trying to put together a GSA schedule, they're there to help you grow your business. So I highly recommend engagements with the PTACs. And as I mentioned, attend government industry days. And if you do anything on this list, if you can do that, that's one of the best ways to get introduced to a program team. And oftentimes industry days are specific to a service area. They could be specific to a contract. So that's an excellent way, again, of meeting primes. And plus, at the industry days, the government industry days, you can discover who your competitors are that are in the room, or their potential teaming partners that you can work with. Obtain the list of attendees for assessing teaming opportunities. And again, whether that's prime or whether you just want to, get with another small business to go after opportunities. It helps you to gain a better understanding of the government's needs, and you can interact with government large business program personnel and other small businesses, as I previously mentioned. Then during the matchmaking session, what is your strategy for this company? What information do you need to provide to the large business? Does your capabilities match or complement the large business? Do you have agency specific experience? And what's interesting, if you don't have experience with the agencies, let's say if you're a retired military person, what agency did you work with? Because that's valuable information, because you have not so much inside information, but you have awareness of how the agency works. What makes your company, again, different from other companies? And some examples of that, you have any SBIRs, new patents, and even if you haven't done business with the government, what unique skill sets are you going to bring into the government space? Because a lot of times we're looking for new innovation, and that may not be done with someone who's done business with the government. And what information do you want from the primes? Again, be specific. Can you connect me to a program team that does X, Y, and Z capabilities? I'm interested in working on X contract. Can you connect me with that team? And again, give reasons why you would be a good fit for that team or specific contract. And do you have any current or near opportunities for my services? What I would like to share is something that happened last year at the Reston Center. I met with a small business, and again, they had a very specific strategy. They were working on a particular technology, and they just needed some more information to reason check something that they were doing. And the area was an electromagnetic spectrum, and they were working on something. And so they just wanted to kind of get, again, a little bit more information. And so they contacted me. Of course, I met them at the conference. I told them, we do have a lab in that area. So I was able to connect them with the director of that lab, and they shared with him what they were trying to do. He did give them some advice and some things that they needed to look at. And then he goes, if you get to a point where you want to test what you're doing, I would be glad, to come in and let you guys, test it out in our lab. So that was a great example of not coming to the matchmaker just for a subcontracting opportunity. They were looking for information, they were looking for a contact, and yet long-term, we're going to end up, they can be a teaming partner, for us. And plus it helped them to develop, what they're working on. Next slide. Matchmaking follow-up. Again, as I mentioned, registered your company in the Prime's website, small business website. Send email with your capability statement. And I recommend sending a more in-depth company briefing if you have one. Oftentimes we'll get the one-page slit that gives a nice overview, but sometimes the program teams want to see a little bit more information. Highlight areas you want to engage with the company in your email. Army, whatever the contract is, Coast Guard, fleet maintenance services. Provide small business professional information on your capabilities. Example, modeling and simulation. Be as specific as you can. Include company website in your email. And once connected, if I get you to a program team or any other small business professional, please stay in touch with the program team. What happens a lot of times, we'll get you to the table, but for whatever reason, you don't keep that connection up. I do realize sometimes that program manager may switch to another team, or they may not be there. In that case, feel free to reach back. But oftentimes, I'll get continuous emails, and then I'm like, okay, did you contact the program manager? And they're like, no. But please do that, because you want to keep that connection going once you get it the first time. Okay. Next slide, please. And what I would like to do is just talk a little bit about what's happening at our end. And I labeled this Understanding the Large Business Prime, behind the scenes. And I'll just discuss a little bit what the small business professionals, what our responsibilities are, and what the PM and the business development responsibilities are. Next slide. Many of my colleagues, besides participating in we do numerous outreach and matchmaking events. We receive numerous contacts, emails, and phone calls every day. I probably average at least 15 calls or contacts a week on small businesses wanting to do business with us. We also help on proposals. And so we do help the program teams and procurement find the small businesses to put on different proposals, and thus we go to the outreach sessions and we help, find the small businesses. We also do the small business participation plans. We submit subcontracting reports, and I'm in the midst. We're twice a year, we have to report back to the government on how much business we've done with the small businesses. And it's important to know the timing of these things, because that explains why sometimes we may not immediately get back with you. But in most cases, we will get back with you, whether it's via email or phone. Because sometimes, not all the time, sometimes after we go to an event, we may have 30 people instantly contact us. So it takes a minute to get through all the phone calls and emails. And again, I just wanted to share that information because a lot of times, we hear that small businesses at the primes don't get back. So I just wanted to share why it may take just a little bit longer to actually get back to you. And then again, we participate in other business development organizations, like I mentioned, FC, and some of the other groups. Next slide, please. And then oftentimes the small business professionals will reach out to the program teams, but some of them are actually managing an actual contract, and they're at the customer site. They're working on a contract. They conduct staff and program meetings. They're responsible for new RFPs, and they're responsible for meeting, their small business goals. So again, they're doing things, so it may take a minute to actually get the meeting set up. Slide. And then this is not so much a part of your outreach strategy. I just wanted to bring up the CMMC requirements, which is the cybersecurity requirements that you're hearing a lot about lately. I just wanted to throw out there that this is something that's very real. And if you haven't started to do your research on how this affects you, please start doing that immediately. Because the Federal Acquisition Regulations FAR requires all defense contractors to safeguard sensitive information. And I know in the news you're hearing a lot about different security breaches that are happening. And some of the current measures have been unable to stop the leakage of sensitive information from the defense supply chain. And this is such a huge initiative within the government, especially DOD. And what they're trying to do is they're going to have the cybersecurity maturity model framework, which is the CMMC. And it's the vehicle that the government will be using to certify and verify exactly how safe you are to do business with. And very soon, right now we self-certify, but most companies, and this is going to affect small businesses as well, there's going to be different levels of certification. And depending on your service or work that you're going to be doing, you're going to either have to be certified at one of those levels to get certain pieces of government information. And some defense contracts, which involve the storage, processing, or transmission of sensitive, controlled, unclassified information, which is CUI, will soon, as I mentioned, have a CMMC certification level requirement. And we're starting to see some of it now, but again, we get to self-certify. And what happens at the prime level, we're responsible for all the subcontractors that are on the contract. So we're going through a process as well that we will ask you to fill out a questionnaire, and it's related to the NIST, 800, 171 requirements. And then the CMMC, depending on the level, you may have to do a few more steps. So again, please do your research in this area. And next slide, please. And this is the last slide. As I mentioned, we have prime contractors have the responsibility to ensure subcontractors have the proper cybersecurity protocols in place. And again, research and understand how CMMC impacts your business and what you need to be compliant if you handle CUI information. And again, if you're not handling sensitive information, then this is something you won't have to worry about. But many of you are government contractors, and at some level you will have to address this. So with that, those are my nuggets for how to have a successful matchmaking session.
That's wonderful, Clarice. Thank you so much for sharing that incredibly valuable information. I know that everyone will take this information, do their research, and be prepared for next week's conference on the 4th and all the events coming up besides this one. So thank you again so much for your time, Clarice. Thank
You're
you,
welcome.
everyone who was watching today. We look forward to seeing you all on the 4th, and hopefully we'll see you in the future after that, maybe at one of our GovCon Council meetings or the GovCon Council events. So with that, everyone enjoy your day. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye-bye, everyone.
Bye.